Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Alba Mar, me dicen Alba y estoy aquí para hablar de libros, especialmente libros de Puerto Rico. Hello again, welcome to the channel. My name is Alba Mar, you may call me Alba, and we're here to talk about books from Puerto Rico. I wasn't going to film anything else for Litmas, and I hope this will be very fast because I have a lot of stuff to do. I have plumbing even, and packing, and all sorts of things. But Litmas number 2 and number 3 would not leave my mind. And if I don't get this up and anything happens, and this would be like my last video, I really want it to go up. And is the best writer that I read for the first time and the best book. And those will be a tie, basically, because, well, besides George Eliot, right, in English, which I haven't finished, but I will. El Resplandor de Luzbella is fantastic read, but I haven't finished that one either, but I will, because my spirit needs it. That leaves Mayoral by Ramón con los Pratts, which I did finish, and which does not leave my mind. And I have to talk about this book. Absolutely have to talk about this book. Now, a little background in a context. I now get book recommendations, not from magazines, not from newspapers. Besides Booktube for the English titles, I get my book recommendations for Puerto Rican books from listening to my local radio station, WPAB, 550 AM, on the AM dial, where Puerto Rican authors are frequently interviewed, especially by Jose Eliot, who is the news director there, and who is also a published author of books. But now, every other Thursday, Luzbella Perez, who is co-owner of the Ponce bookstore El Candil, and who is also a published author, and we will speak about her books at some other time. I was listening to her participation in the morning show at 9 o'clock while I was in New York City. I was listening to it on TuneIn, and she talked about this book by this author from San Sebastian. Now, I had lived in San Sebastian for 20 years. That's where I brought up my children. And I worked and lived there in San Sebastian. So I was curious, but I didn't get a chance to jot down the title of the book. So when I got back to the island and I went to visit the bookstore, I asked her, and she took out her notes and she looked it up. I went precisely looking for that book because when Luz Nereida says that a book is good, I trust her. I trust her judgment. The book is good. What I didn't expect was the author, Ramón Edwin Colón Pratts, is somebody that I knew and I was acquainted with. Not that I frequented his inner circle, but he even defended me once. When the telephone company tried to get $900 off of me for an accident that I didn't cause. But he helped me out. He was the one who taught me that when a policeman tries to interview me, keep quiet. So anyway, I was going to buy the book. I bought one book for a family member as a birthday gift. But I started reading it. And I could not put it down. And I could not put it down, not just because I knew who he was, not because it was from San Sebastian and I had lived in San Sebastian and I love San Sebastian, not because my son and his family, his wife and my 2 granddaughters live in San Sebastian. No, This is a great book. Now, it starts off with an element of surrealism because the abuelo, the grandfather, has passed, and he was a lawyer, and his adult children, especially his daughters, have come to the office to clean it out of all its moldy boxes and equipment and documents, and coincidentally try to look for a manuscript of a novel that their father had been working on for a while. And that novel is Mayoral, the title of this book. As it turns out, we have then two plot lines going. The search for the manuscript, finding the manuscript, and the family endeavor to piece the puzzles, the pages of this manuscript together. And then we have the other plot line, which is Mayoral, the novel in and of itself, and their reading of the novel. And some fantastic themes are brought up here, people. I can see this book being read in a high school, at least the one in San Sebastian, for the themes that this brings up. Mayoral, the main character of this book, is someone who is suffering in his mental health. And one of the things that he does, you see that broken bottle there? One of the things that he's known for in the town of San Sebastian is for smashing empty bottles over his head. Yeah. So there's that theme of mental health. But then, enmeshed with that, is that Mayoral is supposed to testify at a trial, a murder trial. That's another subplot here. And whether his mental health will be a detriment to his testimony. And that brings all sorts of questions about memory, about whether a person suffering from mental health, whether their testimony is admissible in court, for example, whether he really recalls what he says he recalls, or whether he just imagines it. He himself calls that into question. The question of imagination versus reality. And then in the family discussions, we have, they're asking themselves whether this is really a novel or whether it's nonfiction biography, or what, because they can recognize certain people from their surroundings. Now, this is such a beautiful book. And I just wanted to leave una constancia. I wanted to leave this as evidence that this book is fantastic. I wound up buying 8 books. I did. To give out to different people. And it's not an easy read because there are themes here that that really, impact you. And it's complex and it has different layers. I am so glad that Ramón Edwin Colón Pratts wrote this book, and I'm now going to go back and look for his stories, because he has 2 books of stories that I haven't read, and I will definitely read them now. And people, before I leave, I just wanted to ask you, have you seen Tilly and her mom at Tilly's shelf making a Christmas cake and talking about a book about nursing? Absolutely fantastic. I'm enjoying it so much. And ONYX Pages just put up a speech she gave on Afrofuturism as legal praxis, and it was fascinating. That's in Jerry at ONYX Pages. I'll leave the link down below. Enjoy.